Hello again. This is the second episode of the video series about the toolkit Colorwheels. If you didn't watch the previous episode, then I suggest you go and do it because it covers the basics and what this tool is used for. In this episode, I will show how you can set your own points and what the default values are. And then also how you can use lift gamma gain, because that's a different version. I already covered what the difference is between RGB and rib, so I'm not going to do that. So let's start with the RGB. And if I just click here, so this is just the common channel, so like RGB. By default, this is where the 3 points are. On the regular adjustment. So dragging on the highlights here, or here actually, brings that up. Midtones maybe down, and shadows up. Creates a very weird effect, but just look at the curve. But it's limited in that it doesn't move sideways. So for some adjustments, you need to have a different point. And also, one thing I want to mention is that this is really powerful in combination with the masks and especially the new luminosity panel. So I'll do a separate video how these two can work together to create really powerful results in the future. So keep an eye out on that. The way you would get updates from us, by the way, is either you join our Facebook group, that's called Retouching Toolkit Community, or you can go to our YouTube channel where you're watching this video and subscribe. And next to subscribe, there should be a small bell icon. If you click on it, you can say that you want to get notified when we upload new videos. It also helps us grow the channel, as I intend to do a lot of free retouching education in the future. I know I'm not the best speaker as such, but I am very technical, so I think I have something to offer. English is not my first language. Okay, so to get into it a little bit then, let's create a lift gamma gain just to show what the difference is. So we're still in RGB, it's on the same row. But if I do the red gain, you can see the points that was changed. We go to the red, was the top point. Hope that makes a little bit sense. And these adjustments where you want to affect the highlights and such has always been really painful to do in Photoshop, at least for me, because it feels like you're capping out colors, and you don't want to do that. But so you can see it's changing the endpoints with the lift gamma gain, and gamma is here just to have a midpoint if you want to anchor it. So let's say I can just do like this. It would drag the middle back towards the center without changing. So the middle is more neutral now, like it could be almost completely neutral. And then the ends are still gonna have the type of grading effect. Yes. This is mostly what you see when people do grading, by the way, like in video software and in movies and such. If you're using it for grading though, I would recommend using the rib, because that's the harmonies wheel. Because it has a neat feature on these wheels that if you middle click, I clicked on something else. Yeah. If you middle click on the wheel, then it changes to the opposite side. Same goes if it's not a super strong adjustment. Same goes here. I'll show why this is useful as well in a future video in this series. So just keep watching. Okay, so now we know how to use the standard ones. It's just the 3 wheels in the RGB, and it has the 3 certain points where it changes. And we know how to change the highlights and shadows, and we know how to either anchor the midpoints or to affect them. But then usually when you do color corrections, it's not about these specific values. So a really cool tip is this tool here. If I want to affect a certain point here, let's say I want to affect here mostly. If I use this tool, it will become a point on the curve. I just clicked, I didn't drag or do anything. I can deactivate this now. And now on this curve, if I go here, say load points, it will have created that point for me. So if I now drag here, you can see I have that point. And let's turn the layer visible so it makes sense. And can even go more advanced in that you might want to have the midtones protected or a little bit here towards. You can go back and say load points. And now you have 2 wheels, these 2 points. So again, now when we go into color, we can do crazy things. This is only 2 points. And create this really weird effect. But I think you get the idea of why it's good. So that's how to create the custom ones. You can also, you don't have to do it on an existing one. There's buttons here as well that says, for example, let's create a custom rib. And I want to use this tool. I want this highlight and some kind of skin shadow, this. And I don't have too much else. That's enough. And then I press load points. I can go back here. I have those 2 points. Gonna lower the strength a little bit here and go ahead and do a little bit of warmth in the highlights of the skin and a little bit of blue, maybe. Usually blue is not attractive in skin, but what you could do is maybe have a little bit warmer highlights and a little bit more towards yellow and the shadows of the. So this is more for like corrections or when you want to push colors towards certain things. If some things, if you have a certain area, and right now, so I'm not using any masks when I'm doing this, but if you have a certain area that you want to color correct, then you could pick that point and then you can change that point specifically to the opposite of what you want to remove. So for example, if there's a skin area that has way too much of some kind of pink, you could actually click on the hex code. Let's create an example actually. So let's do it. So let's do, like this pink magenta is sometimes present in skin. Of course, not this strong. So let's maybe do, so let's pretend this area here and just lower opacity a little bit. More. So let's pretend we have a problem in the skin here. What you could do is you go into and create a custom here. Let's create a new one because it's easier in this example. So custom. And then I want to pick the point where this is actually at. So it's, if I look, it's around here. And then I can go back. First I have to load the points. So we can do, since we did RGB, just load RGB. And now if I change here, it's going to affect that point. I will have to use a mask for to limit it to only this area. And we can cheat a little bit, I guess, by just stealing this as a mask. Just did this. But you would then paint it in the real life example. But then okay, so I want the opposite of this to neutralize it, unless I want to colorize it. But usually you want to neutralize when there's color shifts, and then you can add some colors on top as a second pass. So if I click here on the hex code that's next to the wheel, I could pick this color here on top of the image, and I click OK. And it shows me there it is. And if you remember, right click will neutralize it. So of course this isn't perfect because it goes towards gray. You would have to then adjust it a little bit further. And maybe you don't want to take away as much, maybe just a little bit, or yeah. Maybe you want to try and correct it towards the orange type of thing, but that's really hard when it's this strong magenta, but you can do it. So. Yes. The color picker is really cool feature. Gives you so you can colorize things. So for example, if you want to copy a grade or something, you could easily do it by color picking the different shades and then putting in the points at the same places, and then you get a curve that simulates the same colors that they use. More advanced feature, but custom points, very good to know about, since when you're doing color corrections, it's rarely just the standard. I already changed this one, I guess. Yeah, here. So all of these are strange ones because I didn't. Let's start over with just an RGB. Here we go. It's rarely the case when you do color corrections that these will fit as they are. But if you use a mask, then they will do the job just fine, because it's not hard to push two type of points towards a value. Or like in this case, I wanted to add a little bit of this cyan, and then you also get the control of both highlights and midtones. So then if you painted this in over the magenta, let's here. It would neutralize it a little bit. So you can use this, but it's good to know about the custom points as well, because that adds even more flexibility. Okay, I think that covered a lot in just one episode, and I'm sorry about that. My intention was not to make it this complex, but rewatch it, and in the next episode I'll show presets, and that's about it. I think covered a lot in this episode, so we don't need to cover too much, and there will be more applicational videos about the Colorwheels in the future, because like I said from the very beginning, curves can be used for almost anything, and in combination with masks is super powerful. So until next time, thank you for watching.